spread to millions. Forces trying to corrupt that feeling. Piece of the pie, that's what they dealing. To sell your soul, you commit the treason. Gotta make ends, is that the reason? My innocence is what you're stealing.
How's everybody doing? How you doing, Rich?
I'm doing okay, buddy. I'm managing, just happy to be alive and safe right now, staying at home. What's going on with you over in Santa Fe, buddy?
Pretty much same as everywhere else. People are locked down and just trying to wait this whole thing out. Me personally, I'm dealing with the first death of someone I knew personally from this virus. Not someone I haven't seen for a long time, but someone I actually knew, and from growing up as a kid. And for those who are continually saying it's a hoax or whatever, just hope it doesn't visit them. Well, yeah, I hope it never doesn't visit anyone. But at some point, something's got to bring them to the realization that the world doesn't revolve around them, and that people are being affected by this, whether they believe there's some other conspiracy attached to it or not. That's a different discussion. But people are dying, and they are dying of apparently a very similar thing.
Without a doubt. I mean, there's over, as we speak today, there's over 18,000 deaths in the United States. And I'm not trying to be a scoreboard, but over 8,000 of them are right in New York, where I'm located. So people are dying, and there are people that I know that have died, or friends of a friend. Too many of them. One is too many, really, if you think about it. If I were to pass away, that would be one too many for you. And if you were to pass away, one too many for me, or,
right.
So this is, it's scary. It's scary. I consider myself a guy who's been through a lot in life, and this is scary. You take pause. You take pause when you leave your house for whatever reason. You take pause when you see strangers walking past your house. It's crazy. It really is.
Yeah. Death is a thing that we all have to face, whether we face it ourselves. Some of us face it quickly and it's done. A tragic, a swift death, an accident or something like that, or people die that then the living are dealing with death. The most frightening thing about it to me, since I know we're all going to die at some point from something, the most frightening thing to me really in all this is the sense that we may not come out of this with any real decision to change how we do things. And that means that the future is no better than the present, and that's my concern.
Very good concern. What annoys and concerns me is that how can we, as human beings, affect change right now? It seems like a lot of things are out of our control, and that's, to me, is I always believe don't allow others to control the direction of your life. Well, right now, the direction of our life is I feel out of our control, and I'm, for the first time ever, I'm depending, I think, a little too much on the decisions of government.
Well, the key word in everything you just said. The key word in everything you just said is people. You say people feel like things are out of control. Well, if people feel that, how do they not also feel that it's in the control of other people? It is. Mm-hmm. Things are in the control of people, and the people who are in those positions to exercise that control is the key. That's the key. And it comes down to who we, the people, choose to lead the people. And that's what it all comes down to, and has ever been the basis of a problem or a solution within a group.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, yes. And, politics is a game, but it's not a game. It's a serious business, right? And right now we're in the most serious business of our lives, okay? And quite frankly, I think a lot of the people that we elected, when they were elected, no matter who you're talking about, I don't think, I'll speak for myself, I never in a million years could imagine a scenario that we're in right now. And really, I don't trust anybody right now that we have butting heads to make the decisions that they're about to make that are really going to influence and change our lives.
And that's why I said who we choose to put in there. And I prefaced this with what we're going to learn from here. Because the people that are in position now, they're in those positions. Unless they start dropping dead from the virus, they're not going to be replaced. Yeah. So at some point, because so many of them are so damn old, they're not going to be there. You know, they're not going to be running things by the time my daughter is my age, okay? And her kids are dealing with the world. So those people who are too old to be around at that point need to be replaced by people who are better than them. And that happens with us now when we choose who's going to lead, not just the president, our school boards, our sheriffs, our Congress people. That's what it's about. I'm trying to fight this now. It's too late. We're trying to, you know, it's like trying to turn a ship, trying to turn an aircraft carrier around after you've seen an iceberg, or trying to turn the Titanic. After you've seen an iceberg. And we have people in place who saw the iceberg, and their decisions were based on how badly this was going to affect them in too many cases. So if you have an access to the life raft, and then the people who are in your ear have access to the life raft, your decisions about the people in the cargo area, which people were traveling in at some point in some of these ships, your decisions about how this affects them are not going to be as beneficial. You're not going to make the best decisions. Right. So that's what our top level political body looks like. That's what it feels like, and we're getting the results as if that's what it is.
It's hard to watch press conferences. It's hard to eat. Actually, for me, it's hard to watch the conferences, watch the news. I for whatever reason, I'm able to watch Andrew Cuomo and his daily pressers. But you're right. I mean, the fact of the matter is that who would ever have believed that it would come to this? This is
I believe they could come to this because of where I sit in society.
Yeah,
with people who look like me sit in society. We've always seen this as a possibility. We've always seen the scenario that, well, if a new drug has to be tested, let's test it on those black people in Detroit.
Well,
so we've always seen that.
Yep.
Okay.
But yet they're still here. You know what I'm saying? In other words, that's been going on for years and years and years and years.
Because we've picked the wrong representatives for years and years and years. We've picked them for the wrong reasons.
Well, that should have been one of the reasons that stands out. I mean, it's not there's no secret that the jail system, people are put into the jail system for what? Because there's businesses that are running the jails.
Yeah.
Okay. So who goes into the jail system? People that can't afford good lawyers. Right. So there you go. There's the easy mark.
I represent a politician reached out to me here in New Mexico, asked me to help it. I won't say whether it's a male or female.
Right.
No, I will say it was a male.
Okay.
And he asked me to help him run for his position. He ran for Congress, and I did. Seemed like a good position. Turns out the guy's taking money from private prison systems.
There you go.
My position at this point is fuck you.
Yeah.
Now, never ask me for anything again, and I'll work against you from here on out.
Yeah, right.
Because you had to know what that money does, and you knew where it came from. And that's the bottom line.
I mean, look even now, you got the coronavirus ripping through jails, ripping through it. You got in New York City, where are the homeless people? You know where they are? They're getting buried on Hard Island. They're burying people in mass graves. You know, this is what's going on in New York. So, I mean, Yeah, there's some, some people, I forgot who said it. I'm not going to remember right now. No, I am going to remember. Bill O'Reilly, I think it was, said they were going to die anyway. That's a quote that this guy put out within the last 48 hours.
Who was this?
What is it, Bill Riley?
Bill O'Reilly?
Yeah, Bill O'Reilly.
He's an asshole.
Yeah, but still, you don't see me and you getting quoted anywhere.
Because a fucking guy like that he has access to a life raft. And he's a pig anyway.
Yeah.
So there's a whole, And
you know what I'm saying?
And we have representatives who have had long-term support from a guy like that. And they've never said he's wrong because they want access to the people who think like him. People who think like that are the problem in any society.
Well, there's a lot of people like that, though. There are people that act like they're for the people, and yet you come to find out that they're not. It's so far off. It's pathetic.
And I believe that you can come to find out when it's too late less often if we take people at their word. When they say something, and it's a little bit off, but you're gonna go with them because of some financial benefit you think you're gonna get. You've made the wrong decision. It's like I said to you in a couple of our private conversations with Trump's, for example, his reelection being tied to the economy. Well, if this country decides to reelect him based on that, this country deserves everything it gets that's bad after that, because it should be tied to his behavior. Because people like me know that Trump would rather see me dead or gone. Okay, he's proven that. I have a very famous friend who has family member who had to fight that guy in court because of his rental policies, and it was deemed to be racist, him and his father. So I know what he is, and I'm not going to argue with people about whether he's a racist or not. I'm not stupid. I know what he is. And I also know that he's a guy who's been rejected by a class that he so desperately wants to be a part of. And a lot of its actions are trying to buy his way into that class, make them happy, and hopefully be part of that system. First year psychology shows you that. But if we're going to continue to elect someone like that for our own personal benefit, we deserve what we get.
Well, listen, I don't disagree with you. I think that.
And not just him. Not just him.
No. But let's put it another way. He's an easy target. Yeah. Because he doesn't really help himself with the Twitter and the press conferences. The press conferences are painful to watch. Mm-hmm. It's painful. It's painful that the reporters are in that position, and some of them relish being in that position. It's painful to watch. That's all I can say. And I'm not. The last thing I'm doing, and I tell you this in private, I'll tell you in public. I'm not defending him. Mm-hmm. All right, because I got to tell you, I don't feel like I'm being defended right now. Mm-hmm. All right, I like to hang out with people that I got your back, you got my back. You know what I'm saying? Right.
That's how we grew up.
You and I have walked together wherever we've walked together, and you're my friend, I'm your friend, and any of my friends that don't look like me, okay. If they're my friends, they're my friends. I don't care what the story is, So, no, it's really, see, for me, if something that scares me, pisses me off, and when I get pissed off, I get angry. So I'm really walking around like a power keg, and it shows in everybody that I'm dealing with. And I noticed that a lot of my friends are getting the same way, just in talking to them. I found out today another one of my buddies, Jimmy Rodriguez, who's a restaurateur in New York. He's had Jimmy's Bronx Cafe near Yankee Stadium, and now he has them. He has a couple different locations. But I was with him, 6 weeks ago. He's got the virus, and he's home, and he told me he lost like about 18 pounds in a week. And supposedly now he's on the mend, but that's some scary stuff. And he's a good guy. How did he get it? Probably because he owns a popular place. They closed when they were told to close. He actually then has opened up his restaurant and fed school kids. The neighborhood school kids. He's invited them. He's delivering food, all of that stuff. But so he has.
Good for him.
Yeah, no, he's a good dude. And unfortunately, I'm giving a shout out that he's got coronavirus. I hope he posted it, so it's public. Get well soon, Jimmy.
Yeah, man, get well, bro.
You know, man. So he's a good dude. But like I said, getting back to what you said, and not blame, but you know, when I hear that, when I hear that kind of stuff, it's really who did you have to vote for in the past? Forget this election for a second, but this has been
Get the
going
one
on.
coming up or the one that got us here?
Well, the one coming up, I don't know if we can forget about it. I mean, it looks like, unless, help me with this, but it looks like Biden's running, right?
Mm-hmm.
Biden's going to be the guy running against Trump. It's going to be here before we know it. We might not even get out until, you know, we might not get out. The way we get released here is even under discussion. So we don't even know when we're getting out. We don't know when we in New York are getting out. Santa Fe might get out earlier. You have less incidents. So they don't know. You might have to have a wrist bracelet that says that you're clean. You know, you're good to go. And so it's going to be interesting how they even have debates. The debates are going to be they might as well put boxing gloves on and beat the crap out of each other. You know, shirts and skins, Jets and Sharks. And what gets me about all of that is that this country, I don't know if we can afford to be divided any longer. We need to unite somehow. So give me your thoughts on that, because that, you know, this division and this Fox and CNN and all this bullshit, it's wearing on people.
Yeah, this division is not new. It's now just affecting people who've been able to ignore it. That's why now everyone's upset. But this division has affected large swaths of this country from the day it was born. So it becomes an issue of, how do we move past this? How do we take this opportunity to get to a place that we haven't been before? You know, not getting back. And I know you're not saying this.
No.
I've heard enough people say in the media and in private, I just want to get back to normal.
Okay. So time out. Let me interrupt you real quick.
Sure.
Get back to normal. We don't even know what normal is going to be. Normal is done. Think about that, and not the country, but we can't move around the country. All right. We can't move around the country. That's what they're talking about. Whether it's right or wrong, that's not normal. Okay. So none of this is normal. You're going to have to take a test. You know, they're saying that this is going to stay around. They don't even know if I get this or you get this. We don't even know if we can get it again. You might be able to get it again. Okay. This strain, we have to identify who has it, because there's a ton of people that are just carriers. Well, if you meet a carrier of this who maybe has good immunity system, right, they could give it to you, and they could be perfectly healthy looking. Now you wouldn't even know who the hell you got it from. So there's, you know, so normal, forget it. Whoever's looking for normal, I tell you, they must have had it pretty good then. You know what I mean? They must have had it pretty good, because I'm looking for a change. I think that we all of us have to get ready to acclimate to the change. There's going to be, the world's going to change. Everything we do is going to change.
It's changing for many, and it's pretty much the same for others. Okay. So, other than being able to move around. Okay. But we still have a tier of who's going to have access to what the best of the new normal is.
Okay, and I think we're both entertainment background, and I think Pink actually said that. Pink caught the coronavirus. Her and her son, her child, I think it's a boy. Anyway, she's healthy now, and she was the one who thanked her team, her medical team that she had. But then she acknowledged, which I dig. She acknowledged that she was lucky because she is a chosen one, and she might not have used those words, but she had the ability to have a medical team, and she just praised for the people that are working in the trenches, the doctors and nurses, and for the people that have to go to them to get help in this time. So she at least, you know, she admitted that. It's hard for me, and we talked about this before, it's hard for me to watch any of these entertainers who are under quarantine and they're broadcasting from their house, because they're broadcasting from really a block, like a half a block worth of property. When I talk to people, you know, we have common friends that we talk to, they're stuck in a 2-bedroom apartment in the Bronx, and their only view is out one of the windows. and they're going to be there for whatever 3, 4, 5 months, going stir crazy. You know, let's give them a camera. And now those are the people I encourage to get a camera and post it on social media somewhere, because some of them put some fantastic stuff out. Just because you need you know, if you're just constantly focused on solving this problem, we as individual human beings, me personally, I'll go nuts. I have to interject a little humor in whatever form. But I think it's compassion, Brian. When we talk, you know, it's compassion, because I don't know if we're going to be able to be successful storming the palace gates. I think we have to, as a society, have compassion, and somebody's got to lead that charge. There are people.
Compassion is always present, and compassion is always present in my conversation.
Yes, me too.
Until we're not talking about compassion, and which is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about moving. I'm talking about moving forward and making decisions that mitigate this situation happening again. Now, as much as we're talking about, the normal changing in this country, okay, there are countries where this hasn't had an impact like it's had here. There are countries that are not impacted like America is. So those countries that are not impacted, their lives are not changing that drastically. Okay, so why is ours?
Well, give me an example, because I like, what country? Give me one of them.
Okay, well, let's take Estonia for example. Yep. Estonia has the youngest government in Europe, and probably on the planet. I know, you know, a couple of years ago it had the youngest government. Okay, so with that comes some level of assumption of progressiveness, just for the sake of this just for the sake of this conversation. Other than the economic impacts because of where Estonia is, how would we expect their ability to move around be changed? It's a reasonable assumption that it's not going to be changed as drastically as ours here.
Yep.
Okay. So the point I'm trying to make is, because of how this country operates, the normal that we're now going to face, whatever it is still going to be set up to advantage some and disadvantage others. That's my point.
Yeah, and that we have to point that out at every possible incident, because that can't happen. I'm
talking about it now, because that's what we're here to discuss. So it having to stop is not something. I mean, we've been saying it has to stop forever. But it doesn't stop, because saying it should stop doesn't stop it. Okay, and praying for it to stop doesn't stop it. Okay, we have to make decisions. We have to participate, and that is what. And why is this true? Why is what I'm saying obviously true? Because you look at what the Republicans did up in, was it Wisconsin, when they forced people to go vote.
But that was ridiculous.
But there was a purpose behind it.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
The purpose was to isolate groups so that the Republicans have an advantage. That was the purpose of it.
Yeah, but
okay.
So
not but. I
don't disagree. I don't disagree with you, but it's happening on both sides, man.
I have said from the beginning that both sides are the problem. I'm pointing out an example of one of the sides that we all know, because it just happened. 48 hours ago or 3 days ago.
Well, ridiculous. So how about this? How about an oversight committee comprised of both parties? Okay.
Not from this body of government. We have to in this next election, any election coming up, and not just focusing on the presidential election. We've got to vote, and we've got to put people in positions that prove that they have the interest of the country at heart, not a particular constituency exclusively. And that's how our body politic operates now. And that's why we have what we have.
It's got to stop.
the citizenship has to have a different thought process about it, has to have a different approach to this. And my desire is that anyone who's listening to us realizes that we are not powerless. And as these things come down on us heavier and heavier, we feel like we have less and less power. It's if we let every step of this get away scot-free, then yeah, you have no power. It still has to be done incrementally. Okay, whether it's now, I believe people need to stay put to keep from infecting other people. But then that's an opportunity to put other things in place for the new normal that disadvantage the same people that are always disadvantaged. That's what I'm talking about.
Listen, I hear you. And in New York, I mean, if you look at the counts of this, it's scary. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, the New York corona deaths by age, the 80 and older is 37% of these 8,000 people that have passed. Okay, the 70 to 79 is 26%. So some might view that as a thinning of the herd. Okay, we've gotten rid. You know, I mean, you want to get a better one than that. By gender, male 60-40, and minorities. It's the statistics are horrendous. So what could be done about that to protect? You know, this can't be that only the people with money, the chosen few, have the protection of this. If you were to look at maybe the economical makeup of these people that are passing, it'd be interesting to, besides the elderly, or maybe even including them, what's the economic demographics of this?
Well, we're also in a situation where anyone can question even the numbers you just read,
right?
Because there is so little mistrust.
Yeah.
In the government. Yeah. And that's what has to be addressed, the mistrust. And these people have proven themselves to not be trustworthy, generally speaking.
I feel a little bit comfortable in New York with these, and the only reason is I'd have to question why they would, you know, maybe not. I don't think these numbers can be fudged.
I'm not saying they are.
I'm saying. Geez.
I'm saying I said that to point out to you. You see how difficult the problem is? Problem is, what I'm saying is the problem is so difficult that even when you lay out some facts that were probably right, there's a justifiable reason to question whether those are even accurate because there's so much distrust. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So that's right. So how do we have an election in November in the midst of all of this?
Remains to be seen. I'm not here to provide answers. I'm here to provide.
I'm just throwing that question out.
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, we have to question everything, I think.
Yeah, I always do.
Yeah.
And I know you do too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we have our preferences, but even my preferences have to win me over each time. You know?
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, right now, I got to get won over by somebody in a big way because I'm really, this is ridiculous. I'm going to err on the side of my life and my loved ones' lives. Okay. Yeah. I think that certainly New York is in a different category right now than the rest of the world. I know people in Florida, which I spend a lot of time in Florida. There are some people down in Florida that say they have I call it the audacity, the gall, whatever, to say that this is the so-called coronavirus, the so-called pandemic. That's what it was. There's a guy who owns a big store down there where everybody goes, and he's on video saying that this so-called pandemic. Well, let me tell you something. You come to New York, man, this is a freaking pandemic. You know what I mean? You tell somebody like you that this is a so-called pandemic, and meanwhile, look at all the people that we know, even whether personally or not.
So what that person is suggesting, even though they probably haven't thought it through, or maybe they have.
I don't know.
What that person is really saying to you is, this is not a real pandemic. And the people who are ending up in the hospital and dying in the hospital, they're being killed in the hospital. That's what he's saying when he says that. And I'm not. Now listen, check it out. I'm not saying that that's what he's thinking. That's what he's consciously thinking. I'm not saying. I'm saying that to say it's a so-called something, you haven't thought it through enough to ask yourself, why are people dying when they're going in the hospital then?
Right.
If you think it through and it's not a real pandemic, then a reasoned through line, a conclusion for your statement is, oh, well, they're just killing them when they go in the hospital.
Yeah. Well,
okay. So then that means we have a bigger problem than a pandemic.
Right. No, this is a pandemic in my book.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I do. But this is where you need something bipartisan. You need what you want to call it, an oversight committee, a decision committee, whatever. This should not be left in the hands of certainly one person, and it shouldn't even be in the hands of. This should be in the hands of the country united.
It could be left in the hands of one person if that person is a responsible person, because that's what our system was built to. It's left in the hands of a person who understands the governmental bodies who are supposed to take care of certain aspects. A person who understands the government will let the government do its job and oversee it.
I feel that people like that person doesn't run for office. That there's probably a person there, but he doesn't run for office.
Yeah.
All right. And for years, people said somebody like Bill Gates. Okay. Well, from what I'm seeing about Bill Gates, man, I know he's not going to get elected in India. I'll tell you that much. So, something like that, what is everybody seems to have an agenda. Everybody that's either running the country or wanting to run the country, or even the people that even you begin to question anything. Okay, you begin to question when you see entities, a bunch of entities get together, they raise $800 million. You start to wonder, are they really going to give the $800 million to the people that they're saying they're raising that money for? I mean, that's what's going on in this whole thing for me. They made this big noise about getting all this money for small businesses and all this money for employees and unemployment insurance and all this other crap, independent contractors. And all I hear, and I was, I'm on calls with stuff like that with like 1,000 people on Facebook Live, and they're typing in their comments. Everybody's having a tough time getting the money, like everybody. Okay, so what? Great, you said you're going to do it for us, but you don't. It's the same way like people have been promising certain things to certain groups for almost a century now, and it seems like everybody's in the same place that they were when all the problems started.
And it comes down to leadership again, because you can't have the top say, "Okay, we're going to do this for the country." If the top doesn't understand that the infrastructure for doing that needs time to set that up. So you can't say we're going to do it and have people expect that's going to happen overnight. Communication is important, and knowledge of the system that you head. That keeps people informed and reasonable about their expectations.
You also have to know, you have to have knowledge of the pratfalls too, the knowledge of the divisiveness of the system right now.
I have a good knowledge of it. That's what I'm saying. It has to change.
You got to run then. Matter of fact, you really want to screw people up, let me be the VP. We'd have a good time. You know what the motto would be? Basically, it'd be Hardgroove and Rich. We've been through fucking everything. What's going to surprise us?
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
then we could say legitimately, we've been through everything. What do you have to lose?
Yeah, right. What do you have to lose?
Instead of a guy who I know is a racist asking me,
oh my God, what do you got to lose? You got to lose your life. You could lose your freaking life. Yeah. But I mean, what are they going to tell us? And you know what? We tell them one step further. Don't even bother doing a background check on us, because guilty. Whatever you want to look for, you're going to find. And who gives a shit? It's life experience. Here we are. Let's go. And then for me, it comes down to, you got to start when the kids are young, education, and just right up the ladder. There's just some common sense solutions here. Okay. Including, who of these people whether it's in the Senate, the Congress, I'm asking too much, but who from each party, come on, these guys got to get along. You know what I'm saying? Somebody in these parties must get along with each other. That's horse.
Well, they all get along where it matters.
Go ahead.
Where it matters. And where it matters is they all have access to the life raft. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The metaphor of the Titanic is the only one to use. They have access to the life raft. So their decisions we have to view their decisions through that lens. And we have to also view it through the lens of our ability to do anything in the absence of them doing the right thing. Some areas we can survive it. Other areas we can't. Therefore, looking at what was Gavin Newsom, he referred to California as a nation state.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand what he means when he says that. I mean, he's not pulling a lever and saying, well, now we're an independent nation. He's making statements to make you think about what the risks are of having poor leadership control everything. Mm-hmm. That's why he said that. Okay.
I think for November, there is no one leader. See, I'd like to get, I think it's not going to happen in enough time, but we need to get a united front here somehow. Need to get a united front. I don't think that because let's just say whoever gets elected, there's still going to be people that are against that person, whatever side or whatever.
That's never going to change, and it doesn't have to.
But you could disagree, but you could disagree with intelligence. You could disagree with, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be this almost hatred, or not almost. There's hatred going on in this country. Too much hatred.
It's hatred because the well-being of the country has ceased to be a concern of the people who are trying to get your vote. You know?
Yeah,
they're trying to get themselves elected and get people to become very tribal for the express purpose of them making sure they have access to the life raft. Mm-hmm. Because when it tanks, you can't save everybody. So you can see who's trying to save themselves.
It's happening right now. I mean, it's tank. Listen. This is about as tanked as it could get. It's certainly in our lifetime. This is tanked.
No, this is as tanked as it's been in our lifetime. It's not as tanked as it could get.
No. Okay,
because we still got technology. Yeah, we still got technology working.
Right.
You know.
Right. But so for today, this is as bad as it's been in our lifetime. How's that? Okay.
Yeah.
Right up until this hour right now, because God knows what could happen tonight. I mean, it's that simple. And I think that, and you know, one of the coping mechanisms for a lot of people is not to watch the news. But I got to tell you, if you don't watch the news, you don't understand exactly how, for lack of a better word, dangerous and out of control this is right now.
Yeah, I don't know it depends on, and it goes back to what you said a little while ago. It depends on the education or the level of intellect that a person's willing to engage in themselves. Mm-hmm. Because so much of what I hear on the news has to be filtered. I've got to filter it through some sense of reason and skepticism.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? I have to have some understanding of why they're telling me this after having not told me this all of this time. So watching the news only lets you know what that news outlet is thinking. Doesn't necessarily tell you what to look for always, or how to view what's coming. So it doesn't mean that you can't figure it out based on historic precedent and human nature. You can. I'm not saying you can predict anything.
Right.
I'm saying you can keep yourself from being blindsided by some things, and that's where it comes down to education. My daughter, I knew very early on, my daughter was very much like me when she was a little girl. And as she's now become a young lady, I realize she's a lot like me. She doesn't take anything on face value, but she will look for the motivation. So if I'm talking to her and I say something she doesn't get, she'll say, well, Dad, why did you say that? That's the best first question to ask anyone.
Right.
Why, if you can, if the situation allows, why'd you say that? Because the why can help you filter out. The why will help you figure out motivation.
Yeah.
And then motivation, and if the motivation is poor, you can then have a high skepticism of whether what they told you is true or not. You know what I mean?
I do.
So I educated my kid to be that way.
When I talk to my college team, and when I coach them, which is, most of the time I'm with them, I'm coaching. But the biggest thing I tell them is don't always say what if. What if I had asked this question? What if I had done this? What if I think is why I think is important. And what if I asked why you said that? You know what I'm saying? In other words, I agree with you. And yet I think that coming out of this or starting from now on, hey, how's that? We should call the podcast that. Starting from now on, I think it's important to really ask people why. Why is this happening? Why do you believe this? Why are you saying that? And I think we have to ask that of the politicians.
And I'll one up this. I wouldn't even ask somebody why they believe something. I'll just ask them why they said what they said.
Yeah, it's even easier.
And that answer will tell you probably why they believe what they believe. But if you ask somebody why they believe what they believe, it runs the risk of them going to some doctrine which has nothing to do with what you just asked.
Right.
It has nothing to do with what you're trying to get to. But it's like religion.
But when somebody gives you that pablum, okay, that pablum, guys like you and I just say stop, stop right there, stop. Let's get past that shit. Let's talk.
Remember, you watched The Honeymooners, right?
Sure.
The first time I ever remember hearing the word pablum was that episode. I can't remember what episode it was, but it was one of the get rich rich quick schemes. And Ralph said something about something to the effect of, Norton, like your last idea, pablum on pizza. and Norton said, don't laugh, it's catching on. That was so funny.
It's funny, those old expressions.
I have to watch an episode tonight
of The Honeymoon. Just to refresh, because that's what we're in the middle of. As far as that goes. Before we break off, why don't we just remind everybody that check us out on social media: Instagram, From Now On Podcast, Twitter, From Now On Podcast, again, and Facebook, From Now On, or Facelift, as we choose to call that. That's for our older audience. You could email us at fromnowon2021@gmail.com. And really, the most important thing is subscribe to our YouTube channel. Okay, let's get some subscriptions going.
This is our Estonia.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hardgroove Rich. Vote for us. We've done it all.
All right.
All right, brother. I'll talk to
see
you
you
later.
Next time.
You got it. Bye-bye, gang.
Bye.